So in similar lines, we will look at other parameters as well, like the other numeric parameters like cymballing, wheelbase, car length. So we'll just look at all the different parameters, statistical parameters of these variables, like the standard deviation, how much spread this variable has. So this will give us an indication of what is the inherent variance within that parameter, right? So having variance is good, but having too much variance, which may not be good here. Like we are seeing car ID, it is more or less saying, like, yes, it has variance, but it is too much variance that it might be indicating for each car ID there is one price value. That means there is no linear relationship here really. So that sort of basic understanding we will get by going through all these parameters, and then we'll make those observations or notes, so that further we will do pictorial analysis there. And even down the line, as we fit the linear regression models, we will statistically understand the significance of each parameter through some probability values. So that also gives us some real good indication of it. But as a first step, we need to know that. We need to understand which variables are having too much spread, which variables are having a skew in it. Like, for example, if you look at price variable here, right? So this price variable, the minimum of this is 5100 here, and this is the standard deviation, right? And this one is sorry, this may not be standard deviation. Actually, that is 25%. I'm sorry, standard deviation is this, so which is having almost like 8000 standard deviation is present here. And then the mean is 13,000, whereas the maximum, if you see, is 45,000, right? And this one 16,500 is 75th percentile. So what that is indicating is 75% of the values is below this much particular value, and only 25% are there, almost like, with a difference of 30,000 here. So which is almost like so much right skewness is involved in this data, right? So sometimes we may need to treat that skewness in these parameters by transforming those variables, and it really depends on the results that we get. But there are some techniques to actually have the data which is in a left or right skewed manner, and then we can actually have some transformation to actually treat them into a normally distribution pattern. So those things we will see in advanced series, but in this particular thing, we are at least getting to know what are these variables related, and how are they how are they having the variance. I'm sorry about this, let me open this again. So again, in similar lines, we are going to also look at the object parameters or object data types. So when we say object data types, these are really indicating categorical values which are non-numerical, but they have each each parameter of object type will have different buckets, different categories of them, right? Like, for example, the engine location, whether it's a front location or a rear location, it's a type of categorical value. It is not numerically counting value, right? So are numerically continuously changing value. So continuously changing values are really treated as in a different fashion. They have distributions, they have spread, they have a mean, variance, and things like that. But for categorical, they are important because they hold definitely good amount of significance in terms of their influence on the output variable, but their visualization is slightly different. So if you look at how the object parameters are described here, all we are saying is include equal to O. That only gives us object parameters and not numerical parameters. Right. So look at this, it describes in a different manner. The count is there, but it also describes how many unique values are there for that particular variable, and what is the frequency of the top repeating value. Like, for example, Toyota Corona, in this particular name for car name, is repeating highest number of times, which is frequency of 6. So in a 205 data samples, 6 times Toyota Corona exists here, right? So that's some sort of understanding. Okay, hey, now you will understand, okay, how many car names are there in the first place. So we're getting almost 147 values, and like that, fuel type has 2 values, and gas is the highest frequency value, which is 185. So that means almost 80% we are talking about is this, right? And then aspiration, each particular parameter categorical value, you can see how many unique values exist and what is the top frequency and things like that, right? So moving further, we can also see how many unique. Another way of looking at unique values is calling this n unique method, and with axis is equal to 0, so which really indicates each column, right? Each column, how many unique values exist. Like it's similar to what we have seen above, but this will give you for um, all the different parameters, not only for categorical values, it will also give for numerical values. For example, car length, which was described above, this may not describe as how many unique values exist for let's say car id, whereas here it is describing how many unique values exist for numerical values as well. Car length, there are 75 unique values, right? I think it's meaningful that different models have different lengths, and there might be some unique values and some common values, but at the same time this is very much less than 205. So what that is indicating is there is a repetition of the car length, and car width similarly there is more repetition of car width, right? But one thing that is really not so appealing is car name is 147 in 205 samples, right? So usually a car name, of course it has a car make and model name, right? So a model name, if you look at it, a model is essentially a parameter of different other values, right? A particular car type which is having four-wheel drive and front wheel engine or a rear engine, and a few technical parameters would define its model. So in that sense, car name in itself may not be unique. There are other parameters in combination, they determine a car model, right? So we will be treating this variable to actually restrict the number of occurrences of it to just the make of the car, right? So we will actually use that inference below to do something called feature engineering to remove this field, but then only include the make of the car, right? And with the assumption that other parameters anyway will explain what the model is, right? We're not trying to predict the model, but that the other parameters will have the variability to determine, yeah, that's a different flavor within the make and things like that, right? So yeah, so this is one of the inference that we have, particularly in car name we need to treat this. And more or less, when we also see that there is no constant values here, that means there is no variable which is not varying at all. So that is also not good. If there is a variable which is very much constant, then that may not give us any meaningful information. So we can clearly drop such kind of parameters, right? So this sort of analysis will give us insights like that. How do we treat different patterns within the data? At least we will observe how they are spread, what different cardinalities exist for these categorical values, and is there anything odd in terms of the data patterns that we are seeing here, so that if there is too much skewness in the data, we might want to really treat them or gather more data to actually make it much more normal in nature, right? So those sort of information is what we would actually capture as part of analysis, right? So far we have done analysis from statistical parameters, but now moving forward we will look at also pictorially viewing them, so that we get a real sense of how the dependencies of how is the variance, and also how parameters are dependent on each other, right? So let me walk you through that. So here, this one, we are only looking at the price parameter, right? So which is the output variable. So we're trying to draw something called as box plot and dist plot, right? There are two different graphs we are trying to visualize for this price variable itself, right? Let me run this and show you what this looks like. See, box plot is a way to visualize how the data is spread for this particular variable visually, and the line here in the center, it is indicating us that's 50 percentile. So that means we are now seeing 50% of the values are less than 10,000, right? So there's a lot of right skew here, and also 75th percentile, if you see, this is around 16 to 17,000, right? And there are some values which are looking like outliers, right? The reason we call them outliers is they're too far away from the mean, and they are even too far away from 75th percentile, and majority of the values are falling between these whiskers here, between these buckets, they're falling. So this will give us some insights on how many outliers exist, right? If there are too many outliers which are actually if the outlier magnitude is very high, let's say here it is 45,000, let's say there is an outlier which is like 450,000, right? So that really is a really high magnitude. So we can actually look at the outliers, and sometimes we could either remove those outliers, because if they are very very rare, and the presence of them might disrupt the model that is being built, or we could actually accept them, saying, hey, there are not many of them, but we will look at the final model summary and model outcome, and then we will decide whether we should remove some of these outliers or not. But this is again some view for us in terms of understanding how the variable is spread, right? And then another way to look at it is also the dist plot, or hist plot we call it, right? This is a histogram with the frequency distributions, like how many values are in different buckets, right? So again, this is another way of understanding how the spread is, right? It is also indicating us clearly. This is called an estimator, probability density estimator, this line here. So it is indicating that we clearly have a right spread, and also this probability density estimator will also let us know at any given point what is the possibility of what is the probability of occurrences of that particular value, right? In histogram, it is not a particular value, a particular point in time. It is a range of values will be plotted, whereas KDE will really smoothen this curve and give us a much more better estimation of much more better probabilistic estimation of any particular value, right? So again, these two here, we may not be walking away with actionable insight here, but we neither see a really odd pattern here, right? Not having normalization is not a bad thing, but if the skewness is too bad, and if it is looking too odd, we might want to treat them, right?